Hi, my name is Michael. Welcome to the very first episode of the Widower's Blog. Well, it's taken me about 9 months to really put this together, but I thought that I'd reach out and maybe provide a voice for other widowers who are kind of new into the situation, and widows too. I don't know that I'll understand a widow's direct perspective into the process, but I'm sure it's got to be similar in many different ways. But I will be taking the man's perspective on what it's like to lose your wife. Now, I've been planning on doing this for a while, but as I sit here and I record this, it's been 9 months. That's enough time for a new life to come into this world. So, any babies born right around the time of January the 8th, 2025, you have had enough time to gestate and be birthed since I lost my wife. I'll start with her story in this very first blog, and then I'll tell you more and more about some of the coping skills that I've developed and used. And I have a great debt of thanks to my counselor. She did a great job in helping me with coping and helping me continue to cope. And hopefully those skills will last for a while, and I'll share some of those with you. Because all of them worked. Everything that she and I have talked about has worked. And I guess that's probably one of the first things that I should say before I tell you our story, is if you are debating whether or not you need counseling, you do. Pure and simple. Find somebody who works for you. You may not find that first person works for you, but I do believe that if you continue to search, you'll find someone who's right for you. So, let me tell you more about Ruth. Ruth was born in 1970. She was 54 when she passed. I was 52. She was British. She had grown up in a working class family and had had a pretty rough childhood. She wouldn't like me sharing all of the details of that, but let's just say it was rough. And in the early 2000s, just a few months after 9/11, she and I started talking online. It's a pretty unusual story. I was using a program that I had used on the computer before and I hated, and it was a messenger service. I'll just say that. And that messenger service was not fun to use. I didn't like the features of it. There were better messenger services out there. But I logged onto my computer one night and it said new and improved. It hadn't been improved and it wasn't new. It was actually the same program that I used when I first got the laptop and made sure to use it, and I found that I didn't like it. But when I saw that it was new and improved, I gave it a second chance. It wasn't new and improved. I just failed to realize that I'd reset the entire computer, so I was using exactly the same program that I'd used before. Not bright, but hey, I never claimed to be the brightest bulb. So, I was just getting ready to sign off of that program, and if you'll think back to 2001, if you were on one of those messenger programs, you ended up running into bots. So, my wife private messaged me right as I was getting ready to sign out of that particular program, and I'd found the Find a Friend feature, and I was writing an email to a high school buddy that I hadn't run into and couldn't find, and this was the first time that I'd even found an email address for him. So I was writing to him, and a private message popped up, and it said, "Hi, how are you?" Well, Ruth's username sounded like what a bot's username might sound like. So I wrote back, "I don't talk to bots," and I shut down the private message and went back to typing the email to my buddy. So another private message popped up, same username, and it said, "What's a bot?" Well, I thought that it was just somebody playing around. I knew that they were automated, but for some reason that particular night I thought, all right, so I've got some, 35-year-old man sitting on the other end of this and trying to get people to go to some website. So I wrote back to her. I said, it's an advertisement for a sex site. Thinking, most of them, you have like, cheerleader 1975, and she says, "Hi, how are you?" And you write back and say, "I'm fine, how are you?" And it pops up and goes, "Come see me at sexycheerleaders.com" or something like that. Not that I know if that site exists, and I'm not trying to get you to go there if it does. That said, I told her I thought that it was an ad for a sex site. And she said, "You're looking for a sex site?" I said, "No, I'm not." She said, "Oh, this is a sex site." And I said, No. Let's start all over again. "Hi, I'm Michael." And that's how we met. She was looking for somebody to play cards with. So we played cards online. And the only reason she picked me was because I was thousands of miles away. So that's how we met. And we talked online for quite a while. And then right after I turned 31, we got married. She flew over to visit and planned to stay for a couple of weeks. And it was 15 years before she made it back to England. And so that's how we met. Now, I know the next question is going to be, how did she pass? She passed from a viral infection, and she was being treated at the time, and she passed unexpectedly in the middle of the night. And when I awoke and she wasn't moving, I knew that she'd been gone for some time. So we'll talk about that process at some other later date. But I will tell you that if you're in the beginning phases of this, you'll know that once they pass, you start measuring everything in seconds. And then you measure everything in minutes. And then you measure everything in hours. And then you measure everything in days. And then you measure everything in weeks. And then by the month. And that's where we are now. Now we're only 3 months away from measuring it by years. But we're still in the early phases now. So that's the story of how we met, story of how she passed, and what I hope to accomplish with this vlog. If you could like and subscribe, I would appreciate that. Also, appreciate it if you'd continue to watch. And of course, comment with anything that you would like to ask me, or any hints that you may have on how to survive and cope. I thank you very much. Have a good day.